Hello and welcome to Around the House. I'm your host, Steve O'Brien. If you've watched the show before, you know what we're all about. We talk about home improvement, home repair, anything in general that affects the house. And we got an interesting show today. We've talked before about, we had an exterminator on a long time ago, and we have a similar person on today, but the difference is he also will eradicate critters, squirrels, raccoons, things of that nature, and he also will take care of rodents and insects and things like that. So this will be a little bit different than our first person we had on relating to this. So the name of the company is Newcomb's Environmental Services, and I'm joined in studio today with Mr. Doug Newcomb. Hey, Doug.
Steve, pleasure. Thank
Welcome
you.
aboard. Thanks for coming on the show. And what we're going to do is let you tell the viewers a little bit about your company and where you're located and just general contact information, things like that. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Well, my name is Doug Newcomb. As Steve mentioned, I operate Newcomb's Environmental Services. I have 15 years experience in the trade. I started my own proprietorship approximately 2 years ago. We're operating out of southeastern Massachusetts. We do service the general Boston and South Shore areas, both residential and commercial, pest control and wildlife management. We offer a variety of different programs from one single visit, monthly visits, quarterly visits. I don't charge to go out and do inspections. Problem solving is what I enjoy, and I think I'm pretty good at it. This time of year we're dealing with rodents via mice, rats, squirrels, other critters that want to get warm and find food.
This time of year, because let's try to be specific on that, because this show might be, we might show this show in the summertime. So
Sure.
You mean in the wintertime?
When it starts to cool down,
it's cold is
probably,
when
say October through mid-March, early April.
Understandable. They're looking for shelter, and they get into dryer vents and things like that. I've heard of people finding mice in their dryer, and they'll find the tiniest little crack to get into, won't they?
On general rule of thumb, a mouse needs no more than a quarter of an inch to enter. Quarter of an
Are
inch.
you kidding?
Rule of thumb is the first knuckle on a pinky finger.
Oh my! So that you have to make sure all your any little spaces around doors, windows, something that's down low, even dryer vents. But can they climb?
They can climb just about any surface.
Can they really?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
didn't know that. I thought they were pretty much ground level.
What they'll do, they like to enter the house normally either from roof level, via like off of a tree, or climbing up downspouts of your
Oh wow!
or through your foundation.
I didn't know that.
And to travel the building, they'll find plumbing chases, electrical lines, and travel in between floors through the walls.
Crazy. Yeah. Now let's just touch while we're on that subject
Sure.
of mice, especially this time of year. If you park your vehicle outside, they tend to they can crawl up inside.
It's not completely uncommon. Prior to the show, you were actually telling me your daughter had a similar experience with
She
them.
had them up in her vent system.
That does happen. I've had a few customers where parked in a garage, similar situation.
But can you bring them in your house that way? Let's say you park at work, and most places you park at work and you're in a parking lot. Okay, during the day you're working and whatever, and the mice get in your vehicle and they get in the vent. You go home, you park in the garage. Can they come out at night and in your garage and get in your house?
So basically, if you pitch up, consider the mouse a hitchhiker. Absolutely. If you pull into the garage and he decides to hop out of the vehicle there, you've now got an uninvited house guest.
Well, that's why I have a cat.
That's where I come into play.
That's my cat. My cat wants something to kill. But no, that's interesting. And the wintertime, you're a little more apt to see. If you, in other words, let's. My mom went into a rehab center a while back, and her house was vacant for maybe 2 weeks. And I never remember. My mother was the cleanest person. She never would leave food out or anything. And we come back to the house after maybe 2 weeks of nobody being there, and there was actually mouse droppings on the countertop. My mother was blown away by that. She said, "Where's mice? How did mice get on my counter? I've never seen a mouse in the house the whole time."
It's funny you mentioned the cleanliness person. I get this a lot from homeowners that keep a very clean house.
Yeah.
The mouse doesn't care how dirty or clean your house is. What they're looking for is shelter, food, and water. If they have those three things, that's all they need.
But they if they hear activity, they'll hide, right? They won't come out you won't see them out.
Correct. Like you mentioned, the house had been vacant for about 2 weeks. That's
It was
probably
quiet.
why they.
And they were taking over. They were in the kitchen. It was like I could see if they were down in the basement, but up in the kitchen, I don't even know how they got up there. But like you say, they climbed. They probably came to a pipe chase or something like that. But the wintertime, and again, if the house is not, if you go away for a week maybe on vacation and you come back, they might have already set up shop in your house.
Correct. You got to keep in mind too. One mouse has a gestation period of 28 days. And after that 28 days, you've now got 9 to 12 more mice in that home.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They reach adulthood within 90 days.
Oh boy, and then they just keep multiplying. Oh my,
Correct.
that couldn't be, well, I'd have to get 2 cats then. Well, let's go on another subject that I'd like to touch on. You brought this little miniature lobster trap with you here. I'll call it a lobster trap. I don't know if the viewers can see that, but we're going to have Doug explain this to us in a few seconds here, but this involves squirrels, and I'm sure we've all been bothered by those little pesky critters, whether it be on a bird feeder or up on the deck, in your gas grill. I've seen them foraging everywhere. I don't know what they're looking for, but why don't you give our viewers a little insight on what this doohickey here is? I'm totally confused by that.
Absolutely. Normally when a squirrel's going to enter any building, whether it be a residential or commercial building, they're going to find a hole or create a hole by chewing, gnawing, clawing away, usually found around a gutter line or soffit. This is actually called one-way door.
One-way door.
I can explain. You'll see the 4 flaps. I don't know if the viewers can see that great, but these are actually attached to the building around that entry hole.
You screw that on?
Correct.
Screw them up? Okay.
Correct. And an underlayment of hardware cloth is extended about 24 inches.
What is it
each
called?
side.
Hardware cloth?
Similar material to what this is built out of.
Okay.
And on the inside of this, there's an actual flap. So when this goes and the squirrel comes to exit, which they have to do to find food, water, etc., that flap will open. When they come back to that access point that they've been going in and out to get into that building, it no longer opens. It's closed to them.
Yeah, but aren't they trapped in the
re-entry.
house now?
No, absolutely not. That's why this opens on the way out.
Oh, I
Now
see.
you got to picture that being screwed into the house. The squirrel, my hand being the squirrel. The
Oh, I
flap
see. They
opens.
just can't get back in.
Correct.
Ah, I got you.
Correct.
Okay.
It
That's
basically
pretty
locks
cool.
them out. It's an
That-
eviction device, if you will.
That's pretty cool. I'm telling you. Have you seen that actually work?
Many, 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 many times.
And it does work.
Many times.
And you have a bunch of these on your vehicle?
I do. We actually build them on site as well.
That is pretty neat. That's almost like the version of a lobster trap. The lobsters go in, but they can't get out.
Very similar.
But it's just the opposite. These go out, but they can't,
Can't
get
get
in.
back in. Correct. Yes,
I
sir.
like that. That is pretty cool. But that's about getting rid of squirrels, and it's a humane way to do it. I mean,
Correct.
you're not going to go in someone's attic with a shotgun and start taking care of the squirrels.
No, that would be
right?
another whole problem for me at the end of the day.
No, I know. But again, there's so many little critters, and the other critter that can be a little bit on the pesky side is raccoons. A lot of people that have trash barrels outside and they don't cover them will attract those little critters.
Sure.
And they'll keep coming back for more because they know it's a food source, right?
Absolutely.
So do you, if someone has a raccoon, a problem like they come back and they living under their porch or what have you, do you trap those and relocate them, or do you trap them and make a hat? What do you do?
Let me touch on that for you. We do trap them.
Okay.
We do a trap, what's called trapping, exclusion, and prevention. So we trap the animal, and unfortunately in the state of Massachusetts for the animal, the law abides me from releasing the animal. We actually have to dispose of the animal after catching it.
Dispose of it. I don't know if I want to get into that.
Well, we can.
I mean, euthanize it?
Yes, humanely.
Yes.
Then we find its entry points if it was entering a building or under a porch, like you suggested, and we either screen that off, use our carpentry skills to close that hole, and that's basically it. And then the job is warranted after the fact. So if they were to reoccur, you get to see my beautiful face once again. So,
So how do you know? A lot of people freak out with raccoons, I know, because they carry rabies. How do you? I've heard it told if you see a raccoon during the daytime and it's acting a little weird, then there's a chance it could have
more than
rabies.
likely, they're a nocturnal animal.
Right.
You shouldn't see them. Dusk till dawn is basically their time of activity. They're sleeping during the day. If you do see them, I suggest obviously call us, or most towns, the fire department has someone on hand that they can call, but don't approach the animal.
Oh, like the dog control, animal
Basically,
control.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Never approach the animal because, like you said, rabies is it's not a joke.
No.
We come in either with what's known as a have-a-heart trap, or we also have catch poles, which basically it's the idea of a noose. It slips around the neck without harming the animal. With a long pole, it gives us the ability to control that animal and get it into a cage.
I see. Do you have that cage with you?
I do have that cage.
Could we
with me.
take a
Would you
look
like
at
to see
that?
the
Sure.
library?
Oh
that's good
yeah,
for
that's a
camera
beauty. Let me get this out of your way.
So basically how this works, we spike it into the ground so the animal can't move it. Because, raccoons do have an opposable thumb like us. They're very quick to learn.
Sure.
Once they learn a behavior, they will repeat it. We don't want them walking off with our cages. And here, the door opens, stays open. There's a trigger plate. I don't know if you can see that in there. We place bait in the back side. As soon as that animal hits this trigger plate, the door closes, and he's in there.
And you can't push that open?
No, sir.
Oh, 'cause
not
that
from the
little-
inside. There's
that
a
arm-
prevention bar here that prevents the
I
opening from
see.
inside.
That is pretty cool. That is such a nice, and that'll fit a good-sized animal.
I've caught a 45-pound raccoon in that more than one occasion. So.
You get skunks with that too?
Similar trap, smaller. They're designed smaller just so that animal can't lift its tail and it prevents us from getting sprayed.
I was going to say, how do you get near a skunk without getting sprayed?
That's the cage size, and when we're setting up a cage skunk job,
Yeah.
I carry a thick piece of carpet and we lay that over the trap.
So he only has so much that he can spray, and then he's empty.
That's correct.
Right, so
But
you let 'em
they rejuvenate that fairly quickly, being their defense.
Oh, do they?
They absolutely do.
Well, I wouldn't want to be doing that. And they can give you a nasty bite too. They got some teeth on them.
Sure they do.
So you do that. You do animal eradication, squirrels,
We don't like to call it
raccoons.
eradication. We call it pest wildlife management. The state of Massachusetts
Politically
frowns
correct
upon us
now?
saying
Okay.
frowns upon us using certain words. Don't want to get myself in trouble, Steve.
No, that's okay. Whatever works, I'm all for it. And now let's get on. Let's show us what that is there. That's pretty cool.
We'll go
looking.
back to the mice. This is a industry standard baiting device. Now this is the open view. You'll notice two access points here.
Right.
A block of bait is placed back here. This closes. It goes under lock and key. Tamper-proof, animal-proof. I've actually given a few of these empty to my pit bull. She cannot break them, open them. They're
Right.
child safe. These are placed out with that bait. They access these holes. I have the key to check it. Normally, if these are placed out, we're coming back on the average once a month to check these, rebait them as necessary, and when possible, I remove any.
So is the mouse carcass still in there when you open them?
No, they actually leave.
They go
It's a
away and they
feed-
just fall asleep somewhere, and that's it.
That's about the gist of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty humane versus the old style trap with the arm that would come down and chop their head off or whatever.
We still use those as well.
Do you?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I've
We do.
seen years ago they
that's
used to put
humane.
them under the
one and done, we say.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. Again, that's your business is so many different little tricks and things, and we don't want to give away all your trade secrets, but that's so. You also do insects.
Correct.
And we're not really in the insect mode at this point in time because it's cold, or they come out more or less in the spring.
The only insects that are prolific this time of year, here in the northern United States, we have subterranean termites. They're working 365 days a year.
And they just stay down low until the ground thaws out.
They're in the soil.
Oh,
Actually,
boy.
they'll come up. They'll be attracted to the heat source of your home. Say you have an oil burner setting on your slab in your basement.
Yes.
They're attracted to that soil because underneath that slab, that soil is still staying warm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then that's, oh my word, I'm horrified with termites. Termites and carpenter ants bother me more than anything. Carpenter ants, I've seen the damage they can do. I've repaired a lot of work from carpenter ants, and they are tenacious. They will climb up a corner board, and you won't even see them. I've seen them climb up. The corner board comes, to a 90-degree angle, and it's put on the house. And if there's the gap there,
There's a small void, and 9 times out of 10,
they've climbed up
absolutely.
into the soffit, and I've took the soffit down, and dirt comes falling. Where'd all this dirt come from? And it's just what it is. It's just leftover residue from all the wood that they
We call
eat.
that frass. They don't actually eat it; they chew it and excavate it. Hence the name carpenter ants.
And
Yes.
it was piles of it. It was like still wet. I don't know why it was wet, but it was just wet. And
The wetness is either from the weather or the saliva of the ant, or a combination of
it's
both.
disgusting. But there was a
That's what we deal
guy.
with.
We had a guy come out. This was a project I was working on, and he came out. The homeowner had a pest control company come out, and they actually, I can't remember. They had me drill holes for them, and they had some thing they poked in the hole and sprayed it all throughout everywhere. And I guess that was enough to do it. But again, the ants and the biggest thing I've seen this year, more so than ever, is and I don't know if this what would attract them. They call them fruit flies. Everywhere. I mean, I've seen them in commercial, like in a bathroom. I've seen them. I don't know where they even come from. I know if you have an open barrel of food, like garbage, they seem to be attracted to the garbage, and they'll come out.
We can touch on that a bit. There's two flies that are common, fruit flies and drain flies, and they're very similar. If you were to look at them, they're very similar.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I'd probably say better than 60% of the time, it's drains.
It's coming out of the
Drains,
drain.
yeah. There's actually
I thought I
commercial
seen one
products
coming out of
that-
the urinal in the bathroom. I said, "There's a fruit fly coming out of the urinal." I said, "That can't be so." Well, they live in the water. They come out of the drain.
Absolutely.
Do they breed in
The
there?
sludge, yeah, actually that is a breeding site. The sludge and all
pipes?
the residue that's inside that pipe is where they're actually
but there's
collecting their eggs, and their lava is living in that.
But there's a trap. Most pipes have a trap. So how does it get past the water to get out?
It's above that. Right above that where the sludge is building up.
Yeah.
Always clean your drains, Steve.
What do you put down there? Bleach?
No. Bleach will actually, over time, deteriorate the drains. There's actually chemical that's only available to licensed
You
pest
gotta
control
be kidding
technicians.
me.
Absolutely.
I don't have them in my house, viewers. I don't
Yeah,
think I have
no,
them
I've
in
got to
my
mention
house.
any names. I actually have a few commercial accounts that.
Yeah, I've seen them in
that,
commercial establishments.
absolutely.
I just, and they don't bother me as much. I don't think they do any damage. They're just kind of disgusting.
Well, think about this. If you run in a restaurant, your clientele is probably not going to eat there if there's flies buzzing around and landing on their
No,
food. Every time
no.
a fly lands, it's vomiting and defecating on the surface.
Oh, I know that with flies. I know that. And the end result is
Hopefully we didn't turn off any viewers with that last comment.
you might be getting a few phone calls. But this time of year, this is what I like about this time of year is you don't have the mosquitoes. And now with the mosquitoes, I see them going around with this garlic spray, and they spray the shrubs and stuff. It smells like garlic almost. And that's supposed to keep them at bay for sure.
There are a few different series. I actually do take care of ticks and mosquitoes. It's a very similar treatment. Usually it's a dual treatment that's going to take care of the ticks and mosquitoes.
But how long does that last?
On average, it's a monthly basis. I do
month.
have, depending on the situation, if there's a good body of water close by, it may need to be more frequent.
Sure.
And sometimes we need to take more evasive action. But basically, we come in with a backpack sprayer.
It's like a leaf blower.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
the best
I've
way to
seen it.
describe it.
Yeah. So you do all that too?
We do.
Wow, you
Well,
do
I do.
everything.
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, you do everything. Wow, that's awesome. And it's just, again, there's so many, and we're in the winter time now. We're in the heart of the winter, so you must not be. Are you busy now this time of year?
The mice is.
That keeps
I've
you
had
busy.
more mouse calls this year. That deep freeze we had a couple weeks
We
back.
had 2
just,
weeks of real
yeah,
cold weather. Yeah.
really drove them inside. I recommend everybody get your house inspected. You'll spend more money on the damage that's caused, but than you'll ever spend in a lifetime dealing with pest control.
So you do free evaluation,
I do, yes.
and what does that involve? when you come
Depending
into a
on the
home?
situation, we do an inspection of the building from top to bottom. We'll say residence.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at your garage. We're looking in the basement around the sills, under plumbing chases from top to bottom.
Wow.
Attic, living space.
Sure.
Same with commercial buildings.
So you're looking for, like,
Anything and everything. We're looking for evidence of this time of year waste. Thank you. Mouse droppings.
yeah.
If it's insect season, we're looking for. It's going to look like sawdust. We call it frass. It's from carpenter ants excavating
Okay.
the wood. We're looking for mud tubes from termites. Droppings from various different animals. Any damage that we can assess and say yes,
Yeah.
that was caused by, wildlife or an insect.
Sure. Well, that must keep you busy. Because, I mean, I mean,
Could always be busier. Give us a call.
No, I see there was an episode once a long time ago. I won't go crazy with it,
Sure.
but the Three Stooges, they were pest control guys. I don't know if you ever watched them. And they
I did, but I haven't seen this episode. Now I'm going to have to look this up.
They walked in the house with their packs on and stuff, and one of them pulls out a jar, like a mason jar, and it was full of ants. And he looked around, and he emptied the jar of ants out, and he let some mice go. And it was in a real hotsy-totsy neighborhood. They were having a big social party. So the mice were running through the party, and the lady says, "Get rid of the mice. I don't care what you have to do." And again, I'm just kidding with that, but that's a tough thing when you get a lot of critters running around like that. And I know some people don't even think about it unless it's too late, you know. And that was me at one time. I had termites, and I didn't really even know it until I seen the paint blistering, and I chipped the paint away, and there was the tubes, and there was those little critters, and I said, "They'll eat your house right down out from under you once they get into it."
We're always happy to come and take a look, Steve.
Well, I'll have to call you in the springtime, have you come out. Definitely, most definitely. Why don't you give our viewers your contact information or anything, you know, where they can reach you at, Doug?
Sure.
That would be great.
You know, I'll start with the phone number. I can be reached at 508-577-2666. I have an email address out there. It's newcombses@gmail. That's NEWCOMBSES@gmail.com. Or you can reach me at the web at newcombses.com.
And you do this general area? Or
Also, please check us out on Facebook and give us a like.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. I'll be right there doing that. But you do service South Shore in Boston?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about like down Cape Cod? Or?
I do. I actually spend. I have quite a few people in the Falmouth area and Sandwich area and Harwichport. So.
Well, I hope someone down there is watching our show. I don't think we get that far, but somebody might know someone down there that needs something done. But I like the free inspection. I like that a lot because, you know, again, you know, you go through everything soup to nuts, and it's one of your most valuable possessions. At least mine is. It's the most valuable thing I own. You know, and you want to take care of something like that.
I try to equivalent it to think of you get an oil change for your car when you need one.
Exactly.
Have your house inspected.
Exactly.
It's free of charge. And
I can't believe it's free.
like
What's free today?
Like I said, you'll never, in a lifetime, you'll never spend the amount of money on pest control services than you will fixing your home. Why wait for the damage to occur?
know,
Prevention is
I'm in
the name of my business.
I can't tell you how many times I've had a call to repair some rotten wood, just rotten wood. And once you get into the wood and you start tearing it out, you see why the wood was rotten is because it was carpenter ants or termites. And it always amazes me when I see the damage that these little critters can do. And I actually had a gentleman on my show. I had a leak in my pool. My pool was losing water, right? And he came out his specialty was finding leaks, underground leaks. And he found a leak, and I have that heavy, thick underground line. It's an in-ground pool, so I have underground lines, and they're thick, real thick. I don't know, it's polyvinyl or something. I don't know what they call it.
Similar to PVC.
No, it wasn't PVC. No. It was like a flexible, but it was thick. The walls were probably 1/4 inch thick.
Okay.
And would you believe, and he told me this happens more than you can imagine, the carpenter ants, the ants ate a hole through the hose. I've got the hose, I saved it, and 2 holes in it, where they ate through to get this, they could sense the water going through, and they actually went through the plastic to get to the water.
Sure.
So ants can do a lot of damage.
Quite a bit. I've been in beautiful, beautiful homes that they've spent quite a bit of money and tens of thousands of dollars of damage when a call to me would not be a fraction, you know, a very small fraction of that.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know because, like I say, I've had termites way back when, and I've got to get you somebody back because it was probably the treatment they say lasts about.
Steve. Not just somebody.
We'll get Doug back there. We'll be too busy to talk to me then, but I'll get you over there and take a look. And you know, like I say, whatever it is, you know, I'll just say do whatever it takes, you know. And then I still got the damage from the termites. I haven't repaired it yet. Well, what happened was the wood was going down, touching the dirt, and they poured concrete around it for the cellar floor. And it's a perfect spot. You know, I got to cut the wood off at the concrete and maybe put pressure treated in its place.
There's a food for thought. Anytime that you're doing any concrete pouring, or I get this a lot too, people they don't think ahead of time they'll be doing some tree work or removing shrubs. Well, you're going to disturb whatever kind of insects or critters are around that area.
Sure.
Always give a call to your local pest control company before you do that work.
Before?
Before.
Why before?
Well, you want to set up an appointment so the day that tree comes down, you can have your pest control operator there to make sure those ants aren't migrating into your home.
That's crazy.
Or those critters aren't migrating into your home.
Well, I see people, and I you know, it's a no-brainer for me, but I always tell people, don't stack firewood under your porch, next to your house, right against the house, because the ants love that to get into the wood.
Rule of thumb for us, if I can interrupt you, 25 feet away with a stack of wood, any shrubbery, you want to leave a shoulder-to-shoulder base between that shrubbery or plant life between your home and it.
Shoulder to shoulder.
That's going to help cut down on critters finding their way into your home.
Understandable. And I tell people that all the time too, because it lets the sunlight in too. And if you get an area that's wet and damp, it seems to be an attraction for insects. They like that wet, damp.
Absolutely.
It's easier for them to get into, chew into.
Especially
whatever.
carpenter ants. They thrive in a wet, moist, warm area. So.
I was cutting down a tree this past fall, and it was a dead tree. It'd been there for years, a big, thick, dead tree, and I was up pretty high. It was probably up, I don't know, 20 some odd feet on a lift, you know. And I'm cutting a tree in chunks, 2-foot pieces, and pushing them off, right? Well, when I cut through, the carpenter ants were coming out of that tree. It was like I cut a water line. They were coming out of that center of that tree.
Absolutely.
And I was amazed that they were just inside that tree. And I couldn't see any sign of, I'm sure I could have found 1 or 2 going up the tree on the outside. But they got into it from the bottom, wherever it wasn't all the way down either. It was like only like the top 10 feet of the tree that was dead, that they were into.
Sure.
And that's probably why the tree died.
I was just going to say that's probably what initially killed
But
the tree.
are they looking for a source of moisture, water?
The deeper they go into that tree, the more moisture they're going to find, obviously.
But is that what they feed on? The pulp, or what are they feeding on?
When they're digging around in the wood, they're making, basically what they're doing is they're transplanting their eggs into that moist environment so they'll hatch. They're also excavating to build a home. Their food source is usually salts, sugars. You may see them eating sap and carrying it back to food stores.
Yeah. And speaking of sugar,
Sure.
Before we got only a few minutes left, so I want to touch on this really quick. It seems like in the springtime, a lot of people, and myself included, have issues with what they call sugar ants. And those don't seem to they don't eat wood or anything. They just seem to go with their little crumbs or what have you.
They're more or less a nuisance. They'll get into your food, eat your food. They're not damage-causing insects.
That's what I thought.
Unless you consider food loss of damage, which I guess it is. But
no, but it's just like you'll see trails of them, and it's like, where'd they come from? They're so small, they can get in the tiniest little crevice. And some people, it is kind of annoying to some people. Me, they don't bother. I just, flush them down the sink or something if they're on the counter. And
Sure.
I don't have a lot, but I tell people all the time, they go for crumbs and little things you not wipe your counter clean enough.
Absolutely.
They're attracted to the sugar.
They will find their way in the cabinets and get into your food too as well.
No, I haven't seen a lot of them, but again, we're coming up to that time of year
Sure.
when everything kind of, so
Absolutely.
we're going to have to wrap it up, I'm afraid. That half hour just went by so quick.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to agree, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You were
it was a
wondering-
pleasure. That was fun.
You were saying we weren't going to have enough to talk about, but I could yab around all day. You got to keep me going. Why don't you give the viewers one more shot of your contact information, Doug, and then
Sure, it's
be sure to have it.
Newcomb's Environmental Services. The phone number is 508-577-2666. The email address is newcombses@gmail.com. And the web address is newcombses.com. We're also on Facebook, so please take a look online and give us a like.
Well, that does it for another episode of Around the House. I want to thank my guest,
Steve,
Doug
thank you
Newcomb.
for having me in, sir. Newcomb.
Good guy, good guy. Thanks again for watching. I hope you got something out of that show, and we'll have more shows to come. So thanks for watching again, and we'll see you on the next show.